Looks like I can do that now. No, I still can't do it. Is it possible to do that? Yes, I'm a co-host. I can do it now. Okay, so we're beginning the fifth chapter of the 11th canto. Shri Rajovacha Bhagavantam Harim Prayo Na Bhajant Yatma Vittamaha Tesham Ashanta Kamanam Ka Nishta Vijitatmanam. Sri Rajavacha means King Nimi. He's been asking all these questions. I think this is the eighth or ninth one. He inquired Bhagavantam about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Harim means Krishna, Hari. Praya means for the most part, na, never. Vajanti, who worship. Atma Vitama, all of you are most perfect in knowledge of the science of the self. Tesam, of them. Ashantam, unquenched. Kamanam, material desires. Ka means what? Nishta, destination. Avijita means one, who are not able to control Atmanam, themselves. King Nimi further inquired, my dear Yogendras, all of you are most perfect in knowledge of the science of the self. Therefore, kindly explain to me the destination of those who are the most, who, for the most part, that was the word here, the most part, praya, this right here, for the most part. Who for the most part never worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who are unable to quench their material desires and who are not in control of their own selves. Purport. In the fifth chapter of the 11th canto, Kamasa Rishi describes the inauspicious path of those who are unfavorable to the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. And the sage Karabhajana explains the Yuga Dharmavataras, the incarnations of the Lord who present the authorized process of religion for each different age. And of course, the famous verse about Lord Chaitanya is there. In the previous chapter, it was explained that although the demigods place obstacles in the path of the Lord's devotees, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, the devotees are able to place their feet on the head of such obstacles and thus pass beyond them to the supreme destination. However, for the non-devotees, there is no such facility. As soon as the conditioned soul becomes indifferent to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, he is immediately attracted by the temporary varieties of matter and becomes a slave of inauspicious desires. Thus, the conditioned soul, devoid of devotion for the Lord, completely forgets the transcendental bliss of the spiritual world, which is enjoyed by the five transcendental rasas. Although the devotees are not overcome by the sense gratification offered by the demigods themselves become absorbed in material form, taste, and smell. And similarly, those who are non-devotees also become bound by material form, taste, and other sense perceptions, such as the sensuous experience of sex life. Thus, they remain hovering in a dreamlike state. Now, remember that word dreamlike. We're going to focus on that. Thus, they remain hovering in a dreamlike state, imagining different types of material sense gratification, and forget their eternal relationship with the personality of Godhead. Videharaj Nimi now inquires from Chamasamuni about the goal attained by such bewildered persons. So I was looking at this purport and I said, what am I going to talk about? Because, if it's another class on giving up sense gratification, everyone starts playing solitaire or something on their computer because they've heard it 100 times. Of course, we should hear about that. I don't want to make light of it. But I was thinking, what could I focus on? So I'm going to focus on this word, dreamlike. Let's talk about dreams. Okay? First, let's get a dictionary definition. There's, the standard one, meaning when you're asleep, you think about things. But then the second definition is a cherished aspiration, ambition, or ideal. Um, and I know for myself, because you hear people, self-help people, and cute, sayings on the side of, well, it used to be on the side of cereal boxes. I don't know where you find it these days, I guess. But, something about follow your dreams, and dream big. And, my knee-jerk reaction to that, as a devotee, is like, yeah, right. Dream big and then you die, right? Or what if it's just not in the cards in terms of your karma to dream big? Or the fact is that there are many people who have, like, for example, blue collar jobs. Are they supposed to think big about their jobs, how they can, clean the office building better or something like that? So I would be very critical. I tend to be very critical when I hear those kind of, I'm trying to think of the word, kind of stale sayings about dream. And here's what Walt Disney said: all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Well, Walt, maybe for some people, but it's just not true for a lot of people. And of course, we say, well, yeah, and even if you dream big and you get that whatever it is that you want in life, it's temporary. But um, and then Tony Robbins, who's another guy who just tries to convince people to do things. The only impossible journey is the one you never begin. Now that's true. It's true, and we're going to talk about how we can dovetail these things in Krishna consciousness. But I'm just telling you, how these things usually hit me, and I don't mean to, poo-poo Tony Robbins. Some people get inspiration from him. Um, don't just follow or chase your dreams, hunt them. That's another quote. And every morning, I'm just reading a few of these quotes. Don't worry, it's not going to be the whole class. Every morning, you have two choices: continue to sleep with your dreams or wake up and chase them. If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough. And this one's C.S. Lewis, who's quite a brilliant Christian writer. You are never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream. Dreams do not come true just because you dream them. It's hard work that makes things happen. So those are a few quotes. And for us who are trained in Shastra, anyway, like I've already told you, my initial reaction is, oh, come on, guys, this is just material consciousness. But let's examine them a little. Well, let's poo-poo them a little bit more before we examine them. One thing, for example, I just asked ChatGPT about what percentage of people who dream to become NBA basketball players actually become. And so they obviously say they don't have an exact number, but they say, 28 million people in the US age 6 or above play basketball. Um, and then, well, and so then they go on a little bit and they say, um, and these are people who play high school basketball. Like I used to play basketball. I didn't make it onto the high school team. So not everyone who plays basketball makes it onto the high school team. But of those who make it onto a high school team, uh, 3/100ths of 1% of those who dream to become NBA players actually become NBA players. Or of those in college who play basketball, 1 in 10,399. So it's just not a reality that dreams, just come true if you just really push and push. There's a backstory to everything, and part of that backstory, of course, is our karma. And I gave a talk on this today, actually, in Vrindavan about backstories. We all have them. Like, for example, Henry, you're 67 years old, is that right? 68, 69? Yeah. Do I hear 70? 69. So what's Henry's backstory? Where was he 72 years ago? So every one of us has a backstory. The verse this morning in Vrindavan in the class was about the second to last chapter in the 10th canto, about the Brahmana whose nine children died immediately after birth. Nine of them. And and he blamed Ugrasena, the king, and he blamed Krishna, and he blamed Arjuna. Uh, and the reality was so, as we would say in ISKCON, far out, because the reason they died was because Lord Mahavishnu wanted to have the darshan of Krishna and Arjuna. That's how, like how would the Brahmana ever be able to figure out that one, right? Or even Devaki, she didn't know until the 85th chapter of the 10th canto why her six children passed away. So there's backstories and there's our karma. And as much as we dream and dream and dream, um, yeah, as Prabhupada said, what is it? First deserve, then desire. So, our karma takes us so far, and that is reality. Now, what about as devotees? Um, and what about, dreaming big? So here's a quote from a devotee. I sat with Prabhupada in 1972 in Manila, the Philippines, when he was scheduled to speak at the Hotel Intercontinental's Grand Ballroom. As he waited to start, Prabhupada toyed with a paper flag on a wooden stick. It broke. Prabhupada laughed like a child, as if saying, just see the nature of this material world. He then told me, my desire is that all living beings in the universe go back to Godhead. You please help me with that, with this desire. So talk about dreaming big. He puts Walt Whitman and Walt Whitman, sorry, Walt Disney and Tony Robbins to shame. My desire is that all living beings in the universe go back to Godhead. From in the Lila Amrita, there's this, in his solitary wandering, Srila Prabhupada made acquaintances with a number of local people. There was Mr. Rubin, a Turkish Jew who worked as a New York City subway conductor. Mr. Rubin met Prabhupada on a park bench, and being a sociable fellow with a world traveler, sat and talked with the Indian holy man. And Mr. Rubin says, he seemed to know that he would have temples filled with devotees. So this is 1966. He would look out and say, I am not a poor man, I am rich. There are temples and books, they are existing. They are there, but the time is separating us from them. And Prabhupada thinking big and dreaming big, right? Or Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very soon there will be a time when the chanting of the holy name of Hari will be heard in every town and village of the world. Oh, for the day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German, and American people will take up banners, murdangas, and kartals and raise kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come when the people of the West will join with the Bengali devotees and chant Joy Sachinandana, Joy Sachinandana? Um, so are they, are obviously, this is this is a rhetorical question. If I were to say, does Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, were they, dreaming in the same way that, just dream big and who knows what's actually going to happen? What's the difference? And of course, the difference is Krishna, right? Because Krishna can do anything. We often say this prayer that's from Bivala Mangala Thakur, Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Paramananda Madhavam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna, whose mercy can make the mute speak and the lame cross mountains. Hmm. the mute speak. The mute people can't speak, and lame people obviously cannot. But by the mercy of the Lord, and of course we also not of course we also know that Srila Prabhupada would like to say, not like to say, but he's been quoted as saying, "Impossible is a word found where? Anyone know?
In a fool's dictionary.
In a fool's dictionary." So while we may criticize or kind of say, "Oh, dreams in the material world," we are a parampara of big dreamers, you know, huge dreamers. I can even remember when, Radhanath Swami was trying to get the Bhakti Center, and I was saying, never going to happen. I know the situation there. I know the politics. Never going to happen. And he just persisted, and as we know, it certainly happened. Um, and then I was thinking that we can get some inspiration from uh, non-devotee sources about dreams that we can dovetail in Krishna consciousness. What's that verse? Anashaktasya vishayan yartaham upayunjita nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya uchate. That the uh, the material world, if we see it separate from Krishna, and then we reject it because it's Maya, that is not real renunciation. Real renunciation is to see the material world as Krishna's and to use as much as practical of the material world in Krishna's service. So I can remember sometimes giving away my age, and I'm not, anyway, this is a little corny perhaps, um, but when I used to do book distribution, I would sometimes think of that song from Mana La Mancha, to dream the impossible dream. Especially when I was really trying to, we were on a big marathon, and if we all did this huge score, then we would all get to go to the festival in India. And I remember, to fight the unbeatable foe, the song goes, to bear with unbearable sorrow, and to run where the brave dare not go. This is my, oh, where did I miss it? Well, anyway, this is my quest to follow the star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. And I remember that kind of inspired me. Or I really liked also this quote from Theodore Roosevelt. It's not exactly just about dreaming big, but I'll read it to you. And then I sometimes found that I was able to dovetail this in Krishna service. It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds should have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause. I love that line too. Spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. I love that one also. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And one last quote, because I was literally just talking to a devotee an hour ago, and he quoted this that he uses in his development of bhakti. It's never too late to be what you might have been. It's never too late to be who you might have been. So the BBT translators um, said that the non-devotees remain hovering in a dreamlike state, and that is the world that we live in. Prabhupada said day and night dream. that we're dreaming in the day and we're dreaming, and we literally dream at night, but in the day we're dreaming for things that are akash pushpas, they're flowers in the sky. They don't have any ultimate tangible reality because if anything else, things are temporary. Just like I was in Vrindavan, and one day Badri Narayan Maharaj was giving class. The next day he left this world. And that has to happen to all of us. So the dreams of this world, some of the thoughts behind them are kind of, like I just read, so I think they can be inspirational, but also as devotees, and especially in our parampara, and from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our Srila Prabhupada, we are big dreamers. We do want to, you know, just like in 1970, whatever, when Prabhupada said double it every year. I think if you did the mathematics, every every grain of sand in the planet would have a book, right? If you just the mathematics of doubling something from the 1970s, right? But he once said, "I have this big fault. I can't think small." So of course we have to weigh that with maintaining good consciousness and not burning ourselves out and all of those things. A matter of fact, our the thinking big may not be about external results. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavati Mati Kriyatam Yon. I can never pronounce that last. Kriyatam Yena Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Loyam Api Mulyam Ekalam. Shama Koti Sukritai Nalabhyate. That thinking big is also about having a burning desire to make advancement. Loyam, to have greed for Krishna's pleasure. Matter of fact, that would be perhaps the main thinking big for devotees is, it seems so far away, but I want to love Krishna, and I really want to love Krishna, and I can't do it on my own, obviously. So I really need his help, and then and so have that word loyam, that greed, um, to not ultimately to not want anything else, not want anything else except Krishna's pleasure. That's really thinking big. That tad buddhas, tad atmanas, tad nishtas, tad parayajana, that our words, our thoughts, our actions, they're all for Guru and Krishna's pleasure. That's really thinking big. And a devotee can think unlimitedly big because they know Krishna can do anything, even purify our heart. I used to, if we think that our heart still has a lot of coal in it, and now I'm really giving away my age, but in the old Superman movies, right, Superman would take that coal and crush it with his hand, and what would come out? A diamond, right? So that's a beautiful example of what Krishna can do with our heart. And and the reality is that sometimes he has to do a little crushing in order for us to actually become diamonds, because sometimes we need a little nudge, or a big nudge. But that nudge, tatenu kampam sukshamikshamano punjane ye batmariktam pripakam viriragva purbir virham namaste jiveti yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. That nudge, that those challenges that come up in our life, inevitably, I'm not cursing anyone, but they do. We just have to learn to take shelter of Krishna when they do. It's there's just no other. The tendency is to deal with the external circumstances, and adjust here and adjust there. And what Krishna is almost always doing is, it's not about the external circumstances. He's trying to get our heart, and it's about an internal turning to Krishna. Mm. And so that's a dream of that can become a reality by Krishna's mercy, of satatam, always thinking of Krishna and never forgetting him. Yeah, always thinking of Krishna, never. That seems so far away, for at least for me, but Krishna can do the impossible. He can do the impossible. Okay, so I've lost track of time. What is it's 6:15 here, so it's okay, so we have 15 minutes. So Bhima Prabhu, you've had your hand up since like I said Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So what's up?
Haribo Prabhu, I forgot I put it up. I was like one of those kids who puts his hand up before the teacher has a chance to explain something, and then of course you answered it. But I do think if you would, a little bit encourage. I mean, you have been, by showing Prabhupada had the mood of, my fault is, I think, so big, but then look what happened, and that we should actually put our shoulders to the wheel of big projects and big sacrifice for Krishna, not for the sake of pride, but just for the sake of the endeavor and the adventure. And also, always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. Well, when you're in the foxhole, or when you have a challenge, when you have a stone to roll up a hill in the material world, it's going to come down on the other side, but you got to roll it up. You got to get it off the plateau and get it to the top. And, we should be encouraged because we feel great satisfaction in our hearts when we perform a sacrifice or a giving of ourselves for Prabhupada's mission in any way, shape, or form, from making a flower garland, the most beautiful flower garland, let's say Mataji's thinking about these fresh flowers that she's gotten, or Prabhuji, and it's these beautiful flowers. I don't know, some kind of orchid, and she's going to make a beautiful, beautiful garland. And it's a big endeavor for that day to do that. What to speak of? I've known so many devotees who are book distributors, and they're like superheroes. They travel in these vans and bouncing up against the walls across the walls of the vans, speeding across the nation, distributing thousands, as my devotee friend once told me, pallets of books. Like he would he would actually sell pallets of books at these big concerts, these big jam concerts and stuff like that. So these are huge dreams. And a lot of us who are more ensconced in domesticity or in one place, we can also take great pleasure in helping these people out, and also in developing ourselves like yourself, to be able to connect with others and thrill them with the adventure of Krishna consciousness and serving Krishna in whatever it is our aspiration
Thank you.
is. Haribol.
Thank you. And I do want to, you were saying there's Chesta Rupa and Bhava Rupa. Chesta Rupa is the activities, and those we know are very important, like Bhima Prabhu was saying about distributing books or making a garland or whatever. And there's also Bhava Rupa doing. So we want to dream big in terms of external results and also internal results. Bhava means the sentiment, the mood. And Krishna, if you get big results, but you're proud of it, and you're not developing an internal sense of dependence on Krishna, that's not very pleasing to Krishna. So we Prabhupada did want big results, and one of those big results is our real doing things with love. Doing things with love. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara yudhyacha. Krishna says to Arjuna, you think of me with love, and then you do your service. Not the other way around. Not do your service and then think of me. He first says mama nusmara before he says yudhyacha. Okay, who else has a question or comment or thought about dreams? And don't get me started, because I was, when I first did, I said, okay, how many songs do I know that are about dreaming? And unfortunately, I can remember a lot of them. But we won't go there unless you have no questions. Narottama Nitai had his hand up.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thanks for lecture. And yeah, about dreaming, I just wanted to ask a question, and I just mean it in like the best way possible, because like I'll tell you this. So coming from India, like, a lot of people talk about like temples being free from government control and being independent, and that this might be one of those, like, the dreams that seem impossible, because there's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of things that, like, that the everyday person doesn't necessarily know about, but the desire seems to be there for governments, temples to be, you know independently operated, away from government control, and to have it, their own rights, and the pujaris to get paid proper salaries from the government, etc. So in that sense of speaking, is it okay for us to, like, pray to Krishna about that? Because and like that almost seems like an impossible thing, and it might be something within the whole, like, litigation framework of timeline. India's been independent, and I don't even know what else is going on. But yeah, I just wanted to ask you that.
Not sure I understand. Should we pray that temples become government controlled or never become government controlled?
Well, in the sense, like, that they don't become government controlled, but also, like, there are some older ones from before India got independence that are under government control. Many of them
Yeah.
are.
We don't, yeah, we would prefer not to have our temples under government control because they would, yeah, for many reasons, which we don't have to go into in this
Yeah,
Bhagavatam class. But
nonetheless,
yeah,
thank you. Yeah, and I just meant that
we
in a
can.
very joking way.
So
Like,
can we pray for that? We can pray. Just we'll take the example away and just talk about the principle. We can pray that that projects that are meant in Prabhupada's service are successful, and then it's up to Krishna. We do our best. Karman evari karase mafaleshu kadachana. We do our best, and then the results are up to Krishna.
We should always remember that Krishna went to Kamsa, who represents basically government control, and
Yeah, right.
and grabbed his hair and yanked him down off of his
Yeah.
throne and dragged him out into the middle of the arena and buried his fist into Kamsa's face. So you have nothing to worry about with the government controlling anything.
Yeah, if Maharaj Parikshit was in charge of the government, then we would be okay with government control. Other questions or thoughts about dreaming and
Vraj Vihari,
dreaming?
a question.
Yes.
Oftentimes, as devotees, we may have mixed desires. On the one hand, we desire Krishna
Really?
prema. Yeah, sometimes. But then we're also full of other desires that have nothing to do with Krishna. So how to get those desires out of the way? Are we supposed to fulfill them to an extent, or just completely shove them under the rug and move on to Krishna prema?
Neither.
Thank you.
We should, well, depending on, what you meant by those two examples. We should get a higher taste in Krishna consciousness by, as hard as it seems and as difficult it is, but to never give up trying to do things for Krishna's pleasure. As foreign as it may seem sometimes, or as natural as it may seem at other times, just again and again and again and again, try to do things, think things, act in such a way that Krishna will be pleased. And then we'll get the higher taste. And then naturally, the material desires just fade away. They don't. Janayat yasu ragyam jnanam chayada, that by performing devotional service. So it's like I don't know if you, let's see, you can't necessarily see this, but if I have these two, you can't see it because I have an artificial backdrop. If I have something if I have a pair of kartals in my hand, and then uh, an iPhone in my, well, let's say I have an iPhone in one hand and kartals in the other. There's one thing I could do is put down the iPhone and then pick up the kartals. Two different steps. But if I just grab the kartals, naturally the iPhone slips out of my hand just by the act of grabbing the kartals. So we don't need to do the two-step process so much. We might a little in the beginning, but really Krishna purifies the heart. The Superman example of crushing the coal. If we focus on Krishna, and we really feel that helplessness, that need for his help, that's going to get us a lot further than any other process. Is that all right?
Thank you. And what if I wanted to be a ballet dancer since I remember myself, but then I am an accountant and a devotee. And instead of wanting Krishna, I just want to become a ballet dancer and I'm 40 and I'm still an accountant. How to get that out of the way?
To take some cold water and slap it in your face. I'm 67 and I want to be the center for the New York Knicks, and I'm 5'9".
But we all see Ananda Bihari as a belly dancer anyway, so there's not much he has to do.
So, so yeah, sometimes it's nice to have a friend who will tell us to get real. I mean, not about belly dancing and stuff like that, but who will, if we can open our heart to and tell them sometimes about our desires, and so sometimes it's so helpful to just get things out of our head and just talk to a friend about them. Because when it's in our head, you know what it's like. You start this debate goes on in our head, right? Well, this party said blah blah blah, blah, and then you say, no, that's bogus. No, but what in this case it's okay. No, no, it's totally bogus. And you go off and on like. But if you get it out of your brain and you actually speak it and you speak to someone that you trust, lots of times you get clarity just by speaking it. Your friend doesn't have to say a word, but sometimes a good friend of yours will just say, Vraj Vihari, what the hell? And then you just kind of wake up and say, yeah, that was really dumb. But my mind really convinced me that it wasn't such a bad idea. So this is a different topic for another class, but having friends in Krishna consciousness, you only need one or two or three people that you can really reveal your heart to and your mind to, and can help us, straighten out and have the right kind of desires.
They don't fear telling it like it is.
Yes, I was just spent 2 weeks with Jayadvaita Swami. He certainly doesn't mind telling it like it is. Other points, we still have 3 minutes.
Yes,
So a
Prabhuji.
what's that? Somebody said something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I just wanted to express an anxiety that I have that, that's like sometimes Krishna takes away, but like I have this really anxiety that you know, I guess you could say that the people that are playing, the market, the stock market, and other things, they want to like take over like um people's property, and I'm just like really worried about like what's gonna go on, like for me, like some aspects of like historical like colonialism and stuff like that like irk me the wrong way, and it's very hard for me to talk about with people. I just wanted to know like how I can kind of like overcome that, because it's very difficult for me to like kind of that's my personal thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be a personal conversation. Principles could be that if the material world is really upsetting us in different aspects of it and news and things like that, we spend less time or no time with it. What Raghunath Prabhu would say, news 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, bus. You know, um, yeah. So if that what worries you, then don't have money in the stock market. I mean, again, I don't want to get into personal suggestions, right? But the point is, we're spirit souls. We have nothing ultimately to do with this material world. We're Krishna's eternal servant. And the more that we do things that are favorable for us remembering that we're Krishna's servant, that's what life's all about. And the world is created in such a way to get us to forget that we're Krishna's servant. It's the very essence of the material world. So we deal with the world. Some of us have jobs and this, that. We deal with it as we need to, but we don't give our heart to it. We give our heart to Krishna. We may have to deal with this and that, and I have to pay my car insurance and you know and fix my computer and all that sort of stuff. But my but our focus should be that I am not this body. I might think I'm American and I want, this and that about being American, or I'm a Knicks fan, or I'm this or that. How long are we Americans or Knicks fans or whatever? It's a lightning flash. I mean, if Lord Brahma's life of 311,640,000,000,000 years, Prabhupada says, is a lightning flash in eternity, what is our 70, 80, 90, 100 years? It's not even a lightning flash. It's like 1/10,000th the tip of a lightning flash in comparison. So we really want to focus on the eternal and loving Krishna and just deal with this world uh, either in service to Krishna or in our conditional state, just as as with that in mind. Okay, now I think it is time to greet the deities, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Vraj Vihari Prabhu. We're going to focus on the eternal right this minute. In Shishi Radha Muladhar's divine form, Shri Guru Chandra. Dear devotees, turn on your cameras, please. We want to see your eternal form.
Eternal? No, your temporary form.
Temporary form.
Shri Radha Murli Gaur Chandra Bhagwan ki jai. Shingade Bhagwan ki jai. Chakran Murli Dar ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Master, are the only way by which we can obtain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified, sight of words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection of his eyes. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with hands and knowledge. He is my Lord, birth and after birth. From him, ecstatic, prema ends, and by ignorance is destroyed. Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our masters the poor and O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread over the three worlds. Take shelter at your lotus feet. The King. Ja.
Temple room. Thank you.
Shri Guru Charan
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Padma
Jai Bhava Bhakti Devidasi.
Eti Saranam.
Hare Krishna, welcome to the Afterglow. Would anyone like to speak in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra? Isaiah doesn't want to speak in line with Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Okay, Jeffrey Prabhu, I see your comment in the chat, and the sentence is very compound. I couldn't. You want to speak on that? You want to ask that?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I was in response to one of the items that Vraj Vihari brought up very early in his talk about, being in a dreamlike disposition when you have a mundane or I think he said blue collar job. And, as we understand Krishna's direction in the Bhagavad Gita to, do our work without attachment to the fruits of the labor. And as we understand that, we are meant to be in some form of persistent communion with God, then if we are doing a mundane task as part of our labor, even for pay, if we do that, with a heart full of love, mind, one-pointed and focused on our task and our duty, and in those efforts, our only goal is to relieve suffering, then are we not envisioning a greater reality or a greater truth to our work? I guess my point being that books, temples, material items, and production are irrelevant if we are not doing it from the right disposition. You can build.
They're not entirely irrelevant, Jeffrey Prabhu. I had a friend, his father was an alcoholic, and he beat him up all the time as a child. But then he brought Bhagavad Gita. Accidentally, somebody distributed Bhagavad Gita to his father, and then my friend picked it up from the shelf and became a devotee. He's not a devotee anymore. He's not practicing. He's very respectful to Prabhupada. He's very respectful to Prabhupada and the devotees. But see, his father did some service inadvertently without the proper consciousness, maybe. But the process works, so it's not entirely irrelevant. It's still something. And even we distribute a book without the right mentality, Srila Prabhupada from that book will speak to that person. So it's not that we are the source of that thing. Of bhakti, we are a messenger, but we may be a failing messenger, but the message still stands and the process works, and Prabhupada will speak to that person from the book. But given the book with the right consciousness is, of course, the best. I hope I got the question correct, and I hope it was helpful, Jeffrey Prabhu.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to say how excited and grateful I was to hear that it's not too late for me to be the person that I'm meant to be. That was a really profound thing he said that was very encouraging. So I guess he's gone, but anyway.
If you wanted to write a book, sit down, write that book. It's not too late.
Not too late.
Isaiah and Annabelle will draw the pictures, illustrations. You have everything in place for that dream. Sweet. Would anyone like to speak? I have to get out the door. Okay, Sadhvi, so nice to see you.
Nanda Bihari, you're late for your belly dancing lessons.
Yeah, I'm wearing tight pants and everything. I have everything I need. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. And most importantly, I have the encouragement from Bhima Prabhu, who is an accomplished belly dancer. He can speak from the experience. Okay, Isaiah, Annabelle, Sage, and Sky, please turn on your cameras, unmute yourself, and chant loudly, so that all this news, wars and worries and failures, it all should fade away. Ram.
You smell.
Get ready. Thank you.
We're starting. When are we starting? They're not ready yet. Yes.
Check, check, check. Check one, check two.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Thank you very much, dear devotees, Annabelle, Isaiah, Sage, and Sky. Thank you very much. We love you, we need you. Thank you for your association, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.